Morning, everybody. My name is Jared O'Leary. I've been drumming since 1998, and I still got plenty of stuff to work on. Today, I'm practicing paradiddles, and we're going to slow an exercise down pretty slow. In all of these practice streams, there's over 500 of them in this playlist. There's timestamps in the description to show what I was practicing, whether it's limb independence or technique or whatever, as well as what kind of a question I was answering. Think of this like office hours. I'm here to practice, I'm here to try and improve, and if people have questions, then I'll answer them. Because I've been drumming so long and because I've taught every grade, kindergarten through doctoral student, I get questions about how to get better as a performer, how to get better as an educator, and I often edit them and put them in this drumming tips playlist that has over 20 hours of Q&A on a wide range of different topics. For example, intro to tenor playing zones. But if it says and other drumming tips, that means there's more topics in there other than that, as well as if it says like and other teaching tips, then that video focuses on teaching, but the title is the first thing. Now, this you can find on my home tab where I've got everything organized as neatly as I can. So check that out if you're interested. Just go to the home tab, scroll past the thousands of free play-alongs, and go into the tips and lessons section. This is where you'll find the Q&A, and here's where you'll find some scripted lessons on specific things like how to hold traditional grip or how to play relaxed accent taps, etc. Now, I am going to get motivated here with Shia LaBeouf. So Shia is going to help get me into the mindset to play some nice, relaxed paradiddles. We're going to hide him because of copyright. Shia, help motivate us all. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success. Well, you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. He spits there. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! So motivated. Just, what's he holding? Do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! He spits even more. Wipes it off. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. One of these days, I gotta go full Shia and spit. All right, we're going to my home tab. So on my home tab is where you can find all the thousands of like different play-alongs and whatnot, so you can practice your drumming. Now, I am gonna be playing an exercise called Paradiddle Zoom Zoom underneath the technique exercises, but I'm gonna warm up, and I'm gonna warm up with a Chug variation that has paradiddles in it. It's a fun one. So we're going to go into Chug. It's in the chop section. And we're going to scroll down to... Oh, that was a fun one, too. The threes and fast fours. So it's paradiddle diddle and paradiddles. Okay. So this variation we're going to do at a nice, comfortable, I don't know, 90, 80, 7,000. Let me turn up the volume. Jam, pump it up. Just going to play through this a few times just to get the blood flowing. I'll stretch and massage. And then we're going to grind. Another fun variation is turn those left-hand paradiddles into fours. Play that one real fast. It's a lot of fun. 2 more times. Cool, last rep. Cool. Now I'm going to stretch and massage. We got the blood flowing a little bit. First stretch that I'm going to do stretches the sides of the forearm. So you take your sticks, you hold them in your palms facing up. You pull in, you pull in, you push through. It looks funky. It feels good. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Hold it for as long as you need to. 20, 30 seconds. And then to get out of this, just go back out the way that you came. So you just go out that way. If you do rotary motions like traditional grip or Stevens grip, rotate and hold to one end of the extreme, then rotate and hold to the other end of the extreme. Hold them there for like 20 to 30 seconds. I don't play traditional anymore, so I'm not going to worry about that stretch, and I don't play Stevens anymore. Now what I'm going to do is stretch the underside of the forearm. Ah, it feels good. You could do it one at a time like that. You could do it on your pad like this. You could do it on the wall. The lower you go, the deeper the stretch. Do not put all your weight into it. And now I'm going to stretch the top side of the forearm. You could do it like this. You could do it like this. You could do it like I did yesterday on the drum kit on your legs. Or on the wall, the higher you go, the deeper the stretch. You look like a zombie while doing this. Again, don't put all your weight into this. Finally, the last stretch is finger to finger. So thumb to thumb like this. Goes twice as fast this way. Feels good. Yeah. Do the stretch and massage routine every day after you drum for a couple of minutes. Just get the blood flowing. Then go through this routine. Keeps your hands healthy, so when you're old like me, you can still drum. Been drumming for almost 30 years. Still going strong. ASMR? Nope. Denied. So today I'm going to be going slow. Like, very slow. So we'll see how that goes. I don't feel like I'm in the mindset to play as slow as I'm about to go, but I will try and focus. Sleepy today. What I'm going to do now is massage. So I'm going to massage, thumb on top. Hello, Dozer. And I'm going to do fingers underneath. So when I'm massaging on the muscle. So for match grip, this muscle, moving up and down. So I'm massaging on here as well as around the muscles and in between the muscles, etc. So just trying to loosen everything up. Do. Stay nice and relaxed. And then switch. 2 more quick massages, and then I will get back into drumming. And I'll show you where you can find a quick video that shows you all of these stretches and some bonus stretches with better camera angles than I'm able to do on these streams. But next one I'm going to do is massaging the palm with the thumb. Fingers will massage the back side of the hand. This stretch and massage routine is something that I do on every single stream. I do it on days off when I'm not streaming. Sometimes I do it at night as well. I've been doing this for a long time because I got hand injuries in the early 2000s and met with a hand specialist and talked about like what are some stretches, massages I can do to keep my hands healthy. So 1, I refined my technique, but 2, I do this routine. And this has helped me as well as all the students I've worked with over the years. The last one is base to the tip of each one of the fingers. Massage it at least twice. If a finger is tight, massage it like 3 or 4 times. Just kind of wiggling your way across it. As you massage it, loosen everything up. And again, if a finger's tight, spend more time with it. Left hand felt pretty good. Yay! Okay, so today I'm going to be playing paradiddles. So this exercise that I'm going to work on is a great one to work on your paradiddles. But I'm going to go through it very slowly. So to find this exercise, you're going to go to the Home tab. On the Home tab, got everything organized into different sections. You have to click on a header to show all of the chop exercises or all the grid variations. So for example, you click on the grid section, there's over 1,000 videos just inside of here. 420 for triplet, 578 for 16th note. And if you scroll down here, there's like 37 wacky ones like Herta grid, etc. Taps only grid, whatever. This is where I was practicing yesterday, was limb independent stuff. I'll work on that again tomorrow. There's marching bass stuff, over 500 videos related to that. There's scores and ensembles for like cadences. There's sight reading exercises. These become public starting in November, I believe. Members are able to get early access to these videos as well as around like 600 or so videos for 99 cents. If you want the early access, cool. Otherwise, they're all coming out for free. Just give it some time. Tips and lessons. This is where you'll find 20 hours of me responding to Q&A on these live streams when people have asked some different questions. And then we've also got drumming lessons, which are lessons around like a specific topic. Okay. This is where I'm practicing today, is inside the technique section. Again, you have to click on the header to show all of the different playlists and whatnot. And then if you scroll down to the rudiment builders, this is where I'm practicing right now. So the rudiment builders has a bunch of different exercises inside of here. There's 46 videos inside of just this playlist. But the one that I'm doing is actually right towards the top. So it's called Paradiddle Zoom Zoom. So the way this exercise works is it's playing just the accents. So just think of it like downstrokes. And when you're playing this, we're going to work on the mechanical groupings of the paradiddles. So for example, a diddle. Those. I appreciate it. I like the setup as well. It works out well for me. So we'll work on... Try and speed those up right here on the second measure. But then it goes into a normal paradiddle. Back into accents. And then the second half is it does the first part of a paradiddle, which are hertas. So we have da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. And then it goes into the paradiddles, okay? So the reason why it's breaking this down is because the fastest that you can play this measure is the fastest that you can play this. But also, the fastest you can play hertas with an accent on one is the fastest that you can play a paradiddle. So I've actually got a drumming lessons video that talks about how to speed these up. So if you go to the drumming lessons section inside of here, it talks about two very important things. One is a mental reframing of the rudiments to speed them up, to play them faster. And then the other is in mechanical groupings and how you can actually practice those. So I highly recommend go to the drumming lessons playlist if you have not seen this one, how to speed up any rudiment. Specifically talks about paradiddles, but it works with anything. And this is one of the exercises that you can use to work on that, okay? So I'm going to go slow with this. In technique, going down right here. And by the way, no, I'm not Moby. I am Saitama. Hajimemashite. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Paradiddle zoom zoom. Inside of here. Okay, do I want to play this at 20? That's so slow. Sure. We'll just pick up here. So while doing this, I want to stay nice and relaxed on these accents and just pull back. Okay, so now it goes up one click. Now, all these thousands of play-alongs have timestamps in the description. So you can go at whatever BPM you want. I'm just starting at the slowest, and we're going to just slowly speed this up. Highly recommend going slow to refine your technique. I am not paying attention to the tap off. I'm totally going to miss this. Woo! It's so slow. These are eighth notes. Woo! Again, these are downstrokes. You're playing the accents of a paradiddle to prepare for these taps. This is going to take like 3 streams, maybe 4 streams. Starting this slow to be able to play up to the speed where I can actually get this. But we'll refine the technique over the course of multiple days so I can play nice and relaxed. so slow. I like it. Really focus on your timing as well, your technique. Early. Distinct heights as opposed to like a tenor drummer. Don't play like this. That's bad. Keep it distinct. 2 heights. Early. So much space. Late. Overcompensated. Ooh-wee! We're now at 22, faster than anyone's ever played a paradiddle before. Wow, so fast. Yuki Tsunoda's number. I could go make coffee and it would still be tapping off. Early. So much space. My dancing did not help. It's unfortunate. I've been practicing. So when playing this slow, these play-alongs are way better than metronomes because you can practice listening in to try and play clean with a perfectly rhythmically accurate play-along. You'll hear the dirt. I need to make sure that I'm not applying the accents too heavy. I want to stay relaxed. Playing with a fast technique while practicing slow, so nice and light. The velocity will happen as I just speed up. So as we go like 5 times faster than this, 6 times faster than this, it's gonna naturally get louder just from the increase in the velocity. Thank you for the sub. If you're looking for these exercises, home tab, there's literally thousands. Go to the technique section. This one's in the rudiment builders playlist, but there's thousands more. You have to click on the header of each one of the sections to actually show all of the playlists that are inside. They start slow as 20 on some of them, or go as fast as 240. Every click in between. '23, whoa, Michael Jordan. These tap-offs, oh man, the test of patience. Could go take my dogs for a walk. Come back and still be tapping off. Late. Whoops. So when playing this, I'm focusing on that left hand. The other day when I played this like 6 times faster than this, the left hand was a little inconsistent with the thumb contact. There's a little more pressure than I'd like because I marched traditional grip. Now I play match. So I'm still trying to get my left to match my right. So I'm slowing this down to refine that technique. remix. Late. Late. Like flamming it. Don't do that. Early. This exercise, by the way, is basically in double time because it's 30-second notes. So normally I'd start at like 40, but because it's in double time, it's making it so that I can play it at 20, and it feels like I'm playing at 40. But this is something that I have done for decades and have taught for decades. So like the drum lines I used to teach, we would slow our exercises down to 40 and just really refine our technique. We go up one click at a time. Was it tedious? Oh yeah. I'd play drum set on it, like at band camp for some of the groups that I was teaching to make it a little more enjoyable. But it takes time, but it's worth it. I learned this from Jeff Queen. Got a couple lessons with him. He's a 4-time world champion snare drummer and snare soloist for Blast. This is what he said he did to work on his technique, his rudiments, etc. That's why these play-alongs go one click at a time as opposed to like 5 or 10 that some students will try and cheat their way through. But if you really want to get good, then play it one click faster, starting super slow. This is the secret. You don't need to pay a course to figure that out. It's just a grind. That's why it says on my shirt, grinding for XP. Takes time. Be patient. You'll always refine things. Been drumming for almost 30 years. Still refining. Always something new to work on. Something new to learn. That's okay. If you feel like you're not making progress, keep a journal that tracks the BPM that you are playing at, or the quality of the playing, or both, and notice if it slightly improves over time. Or record yourself playing something. Practice it for a month. Come back to that recording in a month, and then play it for yourself and go, oh yeah, I'm actually getting better. Sometimes when you're practicing and you're stuck in the day-to-day, you just focus too much on the mistakes, and you won't actually notice the improvement, which can hold you back in the long run. But recording yourself makes it so you can actually hear that progress. Highly recommend it. Here we go. Woo! Water break, yeah. Every 5 clicks, it gives you like a little bit of time to set yourself up. So, for example, if you like want to be able to click a BPM and then get your sticks ready, click on like 85 or 90. So it'll give you a few seconds to get yourself ready before it like actually counts it off. Let's see if I can get a drink. Late. Darn you, water. How dare you? Hampering my progress. Pad sliding. Again, stay relaxed with these. Don't like just because it can. It's gonna make it really difficult to play this like 3 times faster than I'm currently playing, 4 times, 5 times, etc. If you are squeezing, thank you for the Rex. Like that right hand accent was too much. Just pull back. Keep it light. Refine taps. Now the Herta phrase off the right, then off the left. This is the first half of the Paradiddle. We started with the second half. So slow. So hard to also talk while trying to stay in time at this speed. I was late. Woo! 26. Wow. Probably shouldn't talk while doing that. Is match grip technique different for snares than it is for quads? Nope. It just depends on if you're doing French, American, German. So that has to do with the wrist angle and the primary driver that you use while playing. So are you using primarily fingers, primarily wrist, primarily arm, or primarily rotation? I'll show you each of those in a moment here after I finish this. Late. But it's ideally you want the same technique across each instrument, even with bass, mallets, etc. So when I was teaching, when I was a caption head, we tried to have the same technique for every single instrument, so that way students were consistent with their sound quality when playing. Obviously, like when playing marimba, you might do like Stevens or Burton's on vibes or whatever. But in general, you want to have it be the same. Whatever technique you end up using is going to have trade-offs, though. They'll be good at some things and worse at other things. That's normal. But the ability to know which one you're choosing and having regrets about what you're not choosing is just natural. But if you are a percussionist and actually understand more techniques than one, then you can actually intentionally choose and even potentially shift between different approaches at any time as needed to give a different sound or a different feel with the playing. Cool. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by that. So for people who aren't familiar with it, so German approach for match grip is where your wrists are flat, parallel to the surface that you're playing on. Good morning, Jeffrey. The French approach is where your thumb is on top and your palms are facing towards each other like this, okay? And then in between that is the American approach, where it's got a slope to it. So we have German, American, French, okay? All of these are right and wrong for different reasons, but with every single one of these, you can also use a finger approach where your primary driver is using fingers while playing. So you're mainly playing like this with less wrist and less arm movement. Or you could use what I primarily use, which is primarily a wrist motion. So you're not using as much finger and you're not using as much arm. Or you could use more of a molar motion where you're using much more arm. If you want to do a full-on molar, you could. Or you could do a rotary motion. So a rotary motion is where you're actually rotating around the forearm while playing. So you can do this with any one of those different approaches, whether you're doing French, American, German, etc. All of them will, again, have different affordances, different constraints, also known as trade-offs, pros, cons, however you want to think about it. So when you are teaching a group, you want to ideally have consistency across the different instruments, whether you're working with a snare line or working with a tenor line or a bass line or whatever. So when I was teaching, the way that I teach the snares was the same way that I teach the tenors, which is the same way that I teach the basses. The basses, just instead of playing this way, they're just playing this way. Okay, so they're playing that direction as opposed to this direction. Otherwise, it's the same. So you want that consistency across it. Some groups, however, will do it differently. But for me, I wanted consistency, especially because I'd have students who would like switch. And even some years, at a couple of different schools that I taught, the snare line would switch with the tenor line. And vice versa. And so that ability to be able to just like switch different instruments and have consistency across the different playing was important for the percussion program that I was in charge of. We also had, for both of the schools that I'm thinking of, whereas the caption head or the battery would go into the pit and they would play in the front ensemble for the ballad. And so they do like a bunch of formality stuff or whatever to showcase that, hey, we're not just snare drummers or we're not just tenor drummers. Like we can play all of these instruments. And judges really like that. But more importantly, the students learn more from that than if they were just doing one instrument all the time. So I did not teach drummers. I taught percussionists. But to each their own. But good question. Highest. Oh boy, it's so fast. Stay light. Pull back. Let the weight do the work for you. Timing is off. Nice. Again, these are downstrokes. You're simulating the accents on the paradiddle. So don't play them as legatos. Woo! Extra flavor. Enjoy that. So it has that eighth note at the end, just so you can start the whole thing over again off the left hand for each one of these phrases. Ooh-wee. What options do we have here? Interesting. Do. You said basses use the same technique, but turn? Yeah, so it's same idea, but you're just going this direction. So instead of your drum being flat with the ground, perpendicular to the ground. So when you're playing, you want to have the same approach, but you're just doing it this way, and it looks the exact same way like this when I'm playing it horizontal. Does that make sense? So same concept, same way that you're holding it, same kind of motion. It just feels a little differently because the rebound also has to account for the fact that gravity is not working with you on the up and down stroke. Gravity is actually working in a weird way where it's like going down this way while you're rebounding in and out this way. So it feels a little different, but same idea with the technique. But there are some people who like teach, no, you need to use a rotary motion on the bass drum. And so like that's different. I literally went to a clinic one time where it was two different people who were giving a clinic, and one person went up and was like, bass drums need to rotate like this. And so the way that we practice it is like you're turning a doorknob, etc. And then the very next clinician went up and was like, bass drums never rotate their forearms. You need to move your basses exactly like the technique that I'm describing right now. So the more people you study with, the more you're going to realize that there's like many different ways to practice, and that's normal. So it's important to like learn from that and figure out, well, which ones work best for the scenarios or the context in which that I teach or perform in the most. And so that can kind of like guide which choices you make with technique. So the technique that I choose to primarily play with is not the only one that I use, but it is the primary one that I use because it works for most of the type of music that I play. But I'll switch it up when playing on drum kit to like play like a French to get it like a nice light little like ride pattern, etc. And then I'll switch back to American when playing on here to get a nice full sound because I want to play on a stadium when I'm playing fast rudimental stuff as opposed to in here if I'm doing jazz like in a little like quartet or something, I don't want to use a rudimental approach to it because it'd be too loud. Do. Generally speaking. Uh-oh. Midway through that tap off, did not get the reference point. Good question, Bird. Give me a second. I'll finish this exercise and then I'll answer it. So for me, because I want consistency of sound, because my primary focus is like rudimental drumming, and when I marched, it was snare drum. The thing that I care about most is consistency with what I'm playing. So the way that I play is to maintain the same technique for as much as I possibly can, and only to deviate from that on the absolute extremes. So if I'm playing like stupid fast, then I might start incorporating more fingers, etc. But in general, the vast majority of my playing is wrist technique. So when I would like teach like high school kids in particular, I would basically tell them this is the one way that I approach the drum. It's just all wrist based and using controlled rebound to work in my favor. A little bit of arm motion just getting out of the way, but I did not teach using fingers, etc. Now the reason for that is because I wanted that consistency in my playing. I wanted a consistency in the hands of the students that I was playing. So when playing something, if you're starting off like, let's say paradiddles, and you're starting off like nice and slow, what often happens is as like somebody speeds up, they'll get to a point where they just like all of a sudden, now I've switched to like a finger technique where I'm pulling back entirely, all the taps are fingers, and then when you slow it back down again, then it goes into a different technique where you're playing with wrist. I don't like that, and I don't want that. So the way that I practice, if I'm going from slow to fast to slow, is there should not be any change in the technique, in the grip, in the sound quality, etc. The consistency needs to be there from beginning to the faster speeds all the way back down to a slower speed for the kind of playing that I like to do. It's only at the absolute extremes where I will start to add in some fingers as needed. However, that being said, because it's at the absolute extremes where I am rarely playing, I have not ever practiced finger technique. So I personally have practiced wrist technique and like incorporating a little bit of hybrid or modified molar approach, etc. But I have not sat there and like done like finger yoga. I don't go and do that stuff where you like put the stick in between each one of the different parts so you can like work on your pinkies, you can work on this, etc. All of my playing, whether it was rudimental on snare drum, like playing with traditional grip or playing with match grip, it was wrist-based. So even with this, it was a rotation of the forearm, not a thumb motion. So I literally have never like sat down and like worked on this to like play fast because all my playing is just a turn of the wrist with the left hand or a stroking motion. car. Oil is my blood. Okay, it looks like it's working. Okay, the joys of like Streamlabs, it just like randomly crashes the mixer and it gives like no notification that it like stopped working. So that's fun. What I was saying is, because it's like the background that I focus on, everybody is supposed to sound consistently across the snare line or the tenor line or whatever. So we want the same technique used for everything you're playing. The only time that I'm switching is when I'm switching like on drum kit or like concert percussion, etc. So I'm trying to intentionally change the sound by changing the technique. So if I'm playing an exercise like this, if I start at 20 like I am, I'm going to use the same technique here as when I'm playing this at like 120 and everything in between. My goal is to have that consistency across here. So one of the ways that I actually practice that consistency is underneath the technique section on my home tab of YouTube. If you click on the header here, it expands and it shows you a bunch more different like playlists inside of here. One of the ways that you can practice that consistency without changing your technique is to use a process called slow, fast, slow. So in slow, fast, slow, what you end up doing is you pick a subdivision, either quarter notes, eighth notes, swung eighths, triplets, 16ths, or 16th notes that are swung. And so like, because I was just working on paradiddles, let's just say I'm going with this. Inside of here, you would pick a subdivision, or not a subdivision. Inside of here, you pick a tempo. So let's say the maximum that you can play like your 16th note paradiddles is at like 200 or something. Well, when you click on this, it's going to start at 40. It would go all the way up to 200, and then it would slow back down to 40 again. Let me show you like an abridged version of this. So if we're doing like 40 to 140, it starts at 40 like this. So it'll count off, and it starts playing. And every time you get to the end of a measure, it's going to go up one click. So now we're at 46. So I'm skipping ahead. It goes all the way up to your maximum tempo. It holds it there for 4 measures, and then it's going to slow back down again. So when I'm doing this process, going from 40 to maximum tempo back down to 40 again, my goal is to maintain that consistent technique all the way throughout that entire thing. So then here's what it's showing it going back down, and then it'll go all the way to 40, and then it'll stop there. And so you can do this with different BPM ranges from 40 up to 240 if you'd like to, all the way back down to 40 again. And then there's another version of this that is the opposite of this. So instead of going from slow to slow, it's called fast, slow, fast, which I'm super original with my names. So if you want the opposite of this, where you start at a maximum speed, slow it down to refine your technique, hold it there at 40 for like 4 measures, and then to speed back up, just go into this playlist and it has the same subdivisions and you can practice it that way. So that's a long-winded answer of saying like, I don't intentionally change my technique from going from slow to fast to slow. There are some people who do, but I advise against it for the style of music that I'm playing and for the way that I am playing. But if you are shifting between it, it might be a shift in terms of like where the contact point is and where the pressure, for lack of a better word, is. Ideally, you don't want to have like squeezing any kind of pressure in there, but because I can't think of a better word for it at the moment. But if moving from slow to fast to slow, you might like change the amount of like contact you have to make it so that it can force the rebound to be a little bit faster when playing on it. And then you loosen it back up again. So it's more of like a opening and closing the amount of space in the hand than it is like I'm shifting from like French grip to like German grip, etc. Why do I tape my sticks, and what tapes do I use? So electrical tape. This is just like white electrical tape. You can use like green or black or brown or whatever you want. But this makes it so that your sticks will last longer with like rim shots and stuff. It adds a little bit more weight to it. So for me, these are Hardeman hammer sticks, which are extra heavy sticks that are great for building your chops. So the exact same barrel tip as the regular Hardemans, but it's like 44% heavier than these regular Hardemans. But the tape makes it so that the sticks will last longer and like not break, and also just gives it more weight to it, which I like weightier sticks because of the rudimental background. You're very welcome. Good question. Anyways, what speed were we at? Like 28, I think. Beats a minute. All the fasts. Let's finish off up to 30, and then I'm going to chop out. So the thing that I was working on was inside of the technique section, in the rudiment builder section, inside of here. And I was doing paradiddle zoom zoom. So hopefully it picks up wherever it was. 29. Okay, cool. Good question. I agree. Alrighty. Oh, that's a good question. I'll answer it in a second. Oh, late. Oh, late. Oh, my. Too busy thinking about your question. This actually give me more time to think about like all the different stuff I could explain for it. So I'm glad I have that time to process. So the next time that I play through this, I'm going to just do this starting at 30, and we'll go up maybe 20 clicks. So this is going to take me 4, maybe 5 streams to be able to like get through at my maximum speed. So in the timestamps here, next time it'd take from the 23 minute mark to the 43 minute mark, basically, to get up to 50. So that's a good chunk of time. But to get all the way up to like my maximum, whatever that was the other day, it would take like a couple of hours basically to get there. So this is a couple of hours well spent just going up one click at a time. So I highly recommend it. But we'll get there. Do you get creative? Do I get creative but still practical with use of rudiments when writing? I answered the question about the fulcrum as well, but I guess I can answer that one as well. So for writing, my end goal when arranging, composing, or whatever is a musical goal. There's a tendency with a lot of drummers where they will focus on a mechanical feeling rather than a musical thing that you'd listen to. So it'd be more of like, oh, well, this is fun to play, or it's fun to look at, rather than, oh, is that actually interesting to listen to? And more importantly, is that interesting from a musical standpoint in a way that complements the other musicians that you are performing with, collaborating with, etc. So whenever I was writing like percussion ensemble stuff or like battery stuff, it was always, does this rudiment embellish, enhance, complement, etc., like the winds or the brass or the front ensemble? And if it does, cool. If it's just fun to play but it actually takes away from the musicality of it, then why am I doing it? So it is cool to just like sit there and just like ram out some stuff and get creative and have fun with rudiments and like, oh, what about if I do it like instead of paradiddles, what if I do it like, and then voila, you came up with grandmas. Woo, high five. Like, that is fun to do, but it needs to all serve some kind of a musical purpose in the long run, not just be something fun to play. Granted, there is a balance where it's like, I can't just make it like boring to play, but still being musical. So striking that balance is important. I see a lot of younger arrangers, myself included, where it was the pendulum had swung too far to just like interesting to play, but not interesting to listen to. So make sure that there's a balance there where like everything has some kind of a musical purpose to it. in terms of like how you're writing and whatnot. But yeah, like being creative, like the music will inspire like a lot of things that you'll come up with that makes it more enjoyable to play and listen to, etc. But always have some kind of an end musical goal is what I'd highly recommend for arranging. Okay, so let's talk about the other question. So back in the day, I used to use a 2-finger fulcrum, the index and the thumb. And the reason for that is because what I was originally taught was to use a finger approach for playing. So literally taught that your wrist should not move at all when doing like accent taps and whatnot. So if you're doing an accent tap, what I was told is you should be able to place a penny on top of your wrist and nothing should move when playing with just your finger approach, which ended up creating all sorts of hand issues. The hand issues that I had was like a popped vein, actually on my left one right here. So this just like turned all purple and black, like all along here. Early signs of carpal tunnel, tendonitis, etc. So there's a lot of issues with the technique that made it so that like this just physically was not conducive to the style of playing that I was primarily doing, which was rudimental. And so I ended up studying with people who were involved with Vanguard in the early 2000s. So like Glenn Crosby in particular was like probably the biggest influence out of all of them. So I studied with him, and he had me shift from a front finger fulcrum to a middle finger fulcrum. Now, this front finger, the 2 index and thumb, is good if you want to use a lot of finger motion. But if you're using a wrist-derived playing, you actually can't bend your wrist when you squeeze with your fingers here. So if you have like a floppy wrist and you're going like this, where your fingers are nice and relaxed, as soon as you squeeze just right here, now try and do a floppy wrist. It's like you physically can't do it. Like your wrist will not bend because it causes tension right here as soon as you make this pressure on there. You'll feel it on the backside right here, and you'll even feel it along right here. So because that creates an issue with not being able to bend the wrist, you won't be able to play fast if you have this as your primary like contact point with it. If you go with what's called often a triangle fulcrum or a middle finger fulcrum, where you are having 1, 2, 3 for your contact points. Why'd it get blurry? Stop it. Get some help. Hello? There we go. You need to step away for a second. So if you go with a triangle fulcrum, you're going to have your contact point 1, 2, 3 on here. This distributes the amount of like pressure that is going on here and making it so that you can still bend your wrist while holding on to it firmly, for lack of better words, but not like squeezing. You don't want to have like white knuckles where the blood is literally going out of your fingers. That's bad. So don't squeeze like this. Point being, because I have switched from this approach to a wrist approach, I needed to make it so that I was able to still bend my wrist while playing fast. And switching to a middle finger fulcrum or that triangle fulcrum allows you to still do that while playing through it. So you use less finger when doing this, but that works for me because my primary technique is all about like a loud sound quality and like being able to play with endurance and speed, etc. And so my primary driver of the motion is the wrist with barely any finger and a little bit of arm just kind of like getting out of the way of the stick, etc. So if you want to be able to play a faster wrist approach, then switching to this middle finger or this triangle fulcrum might be better for you because you can play like this and get that the benefits that come with it. But if you are primarily a finger approach with your playing, then you might want to maintain the front 2. Neither is right or wrong. It just depends on the context and it depends on the kind of sound that you want to go for with what you're playing. So if you want to switch to a middle finger fulcrum, know what you're signing up for in terms of like what it will allow you to do, but what it will also constrain you from being able to do. But just also know that any other technique that you use that is not the middle finger fulcrum is going to also have those affordances and constraints with whatever you're playing. Does that make sense, Bird? Does that help? Let's go back to the home tab here. So on the next pad stream where I'm just on like one pad, I'll pick up where I just left off with 30 beats a minute. My YouTube's going slow apparently, but I'm gonna chop out. So in the chop section here, whoop. I'm gonna do a shopping spree. There's a bunch of different shopping sprees on here. There's 37 different sprees from a bunch of different groups over the years. A lot of really cool, fun ones to play. The other day I played through Velvet Knight's 5/4 spree. That one's a fun one. I played through Blue Devils 99. Middle finger fulcrum seems to feel good in your hands. Yeah, mine too. I prefer it. So there are more, by the way, if you go to the home tab here, if you go to the tips and lessons section inside of here, it's got the 20 hours of me answering questions, like the good questions that you've had. This has some more elaboration on some of like the technique that I use, as well as like how to practice it. But the drumming lessons also talks about it as well. So for example, these are like scripted lessons on something as opposed to me answering a question live on stream. But this one, how to hold a drumstick, talks about like the different approaches, and then also how to hold traditional grip if you do traditional grip for anyone who's watching. This has like multiple different things to consider for it. So I don't give you like, here's the one way to do it, but more of like, well, maybe you'll use finger, maybe you'll use wrist, maybe you'll use forearm. It depends on what you're going for. What kind of practice pad or paradiddle pad? So good question. If you go to the tips and lessons on my home tab, scroll past all these play alongs. What I'd highly recommend doing is, since you said that you are starting out on your drumming journey, this 20 hours of Q&A, just pick a title that looks interesting and start with those. Or if you are like really new, start with these drumming lessons and it just focuses on like one specific thing, like how to hold your sticks or whatever. But in terms of a pad, the two pads that I have right here, so this one is the V3 for the Off-World Invader, and then this one is the Vic Firth Quadro pad. If you are starting out on drums, you don't need this fancy one. But I really like this pad for the reasons that I talk about in this particular video with the laminate. Because for the laminate, it makes it so that it's more articulate. And I show what it sounds like with and without the laminate. So you can check that out to hear the difference between the two. But I personally really like this pad as opposed to those like tunable pads that you get like as beginner ones. I've got like the old Real Feels. Those can be good. It's just the articulation that you get off of this will go a long way. Because you can hear all the little mistakes. So if I'm playing 3 strokes like that, if my like left hand is slightly off from my right, you'll hear it as opposed to when they all line up or when they all fall apart like that. So I personally like this pad because you can really hear that articulation and whatnot. You're trying to work on your floppies? Mm-hmm. Reach your wall around 120. Yeah, so there's actually an exercise for that I recommend. Scroll to the technique section. So floppy flams, for people who aren't familiar with it, it's where you're alternating your flams. So you're just... etc. All you're doing is just accent taps. So you're just doing that. And you can do it. You can do it as grid or like however you want to do it. But inside of the technique section on my home tab here, this accent tap playlist will be super helpful for you. What I'd recommend doing is if you scroll all the way down, there's these... a lot of exercises in here. There's these accent relaxers and tap relaxer variations. So let's say you're working on 3s, so you're 3 strokes. So for this one, tap relaxer for 3s, if you look at it, it says 3-inch taps, And then it says 4-inch taps with 4-inch accents, sorry, with 3-inch taps. Then it says 6-inch accents with 3-inch taps. Then it says 9-inch accents with 3-inch taps. And finally 12 and 3. But then it goes back down. 9, 3, 6, 3, 4, 3, 3. Do this with alternating floppies. So put a flam on every single one of these alternating and go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And you're just slowly raising it to the point where you go. Or the opposite of this, where it starts as accents. And then you're getting to have that control to be able to do that. This can be helpful if the floppy flams that you're playing are accents and taps, like in a grid variation. I'll show you how to do it without that in a second. So in like a grid variation, if you're in here, let's say you go to the flam playlist. So inside of here, there's a ton of different flam variations, 51 videos in here. But if it's alternating flams, which is also called floppy flams, that can help prepare you to be able to play this with like distinct accents and taps when working on it. But if it's literally just like all one height and not like two distinct heights, then what you want to do is just play just straight up accent taps. So one of the ways that you can do that, again, going back into the accent tap exercise, is inside of here, scrolling back down to the relaxers. So either the accent relaxer or the tap relaxer. Instead of playing the 3-note version and alternating, you could play the 2s like this. And it's the same idea where it's all 3 inches, 4 and 3 for the accent taps, then 6 and 3, 9 and 3, 12 and 3, and then it goes back down. So it's just slowly raising the accents and slowly lowering them. So if you play this on one hand or 2 hands as double stops together, this will help prepare you to be able to have those distinct floppies. So it's not just like, yeah, I can play floppy flams, watch. That's not a floppy flam. This is a floppy flam where your grace note is low, your accents are high, etc. So practice this exercise, the tap relaxer or the accent relaxer, and slowly raise it up, slowly lower it back down for the accents. And because I showed you the tap relaxer, let me just show you the accent relaxer. It's the opposite of that. So if I go to the accent relaxer for 2s, it starts high, 12 inches, and it slowly lowers the taps. So 12 and 11, 12 and 9, 12 and 6, 12 and 3. Then it goes back up, 12 and 6, 12 and 9, 12, 11, 12 inches. Okay, so that's like the opposite direction. Either one of those will work, but this is under the accent tap playlists. That is in the technique section. But good luck with that. Just know it takes time, but it's literally just accent taps. However fast you can play this comfortably is however fast you'll be able to play floppies. But anyways, I was gonna do a shopping spree, but I kind of want to actually do that chug variation that I did earlier, just for funsies. So if we go into here, the one that I did the other day, and then I actually demonstrated once on here. So it's paradiddle diddle, and then a paradiddle 4 on these 2-note patterns. So paradiddle 4-stroke right here. So it's on the left hand for that 4-stroke. So we're going to start off not at 136. We're going to start off, I don't know, 80. I love you. Oh, cool. Have fun. Flamacus. Remind me what a flamacus is. There's too many hybrid rudiments. I sometimes, like, I forget if a foobar is a patty flaw flaw, or a patty flaw flaw is a foobar. I do it 2 on the right or alternating. Just tell me that. What's a flamacus? Is that the... No, that's a windmill. By the way, that is a controlled rebound for that 4-stroke, as opposed to individually stroking each one of those notes. Good luck doing that. Same thing with the 3s. Controlled rebound. Now I'm going up 10s because I'm just chopping out for fun. But like I was demonstrating earlier, go up by 1 if you're working on technique. Do. Yeah, highest cams. What's a flammecue? It's not showing it on there if you typed it. Flam exercise with an accent on the second beat? Oh, you mean just like an upbeat? Like, so instead of da-da-da-da. So like the second measure of grid? Is that what you mean? So you can do that with like or like drags, cheeses, 5s, etc. If that's what you mean, oh, I got plenty of exercises to help you out with that. Too many. Over 1,000. I'll show you in a second. If that's what it is. My thumb came off the stick. How dare you? How dare you? Okay. This will be the crash and burn point today. I think 130. That's what it is? Okay. Yeah, I'll show you in a second. The answer is grid. Grid is how you do it. No! I just gotta believe in myself. I need Shia LaBeouf. Shia, help me. Do it. No! I can't play today. I mean, it is at 260, so I guess that's fast. But what, last stream I did, what, 135 for it? It's one of those days. But to answer your question, what I'd highly recommend doing is working on grid variations. So any one of the flam ones, whether it's literally just flam, or the cheese variations, the flam drags, or flam 5s. Any of those 4 with either triplet or 16th note will help you out. So if I go into the flams here, this will make it so that you can have mastery over putting the accent anywhere on these triplets. So the constant is triplet, 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 triplet. So you're just playing flams on the downbeat. And you're moving the accent. Second measure. And then you do 2 of each, and then 1 of each. That's the forward version of a grid. If you go to the next one, flam on 1, with 1, 2, 4 accents, it's the backward version of the grid. Shh, silence. Where you're putting the accent on the third partial, the second partial, the first partial. You do 1 count of each, 2 counts of each, 4 counts of each. So it's like flipping it, the opposite of what I just demonstrated. But working on grid variations will make it so that you can play the flamecues with control. And if you do that with cheeses, flam drags, flam 5s, it will go a long way. There's a bunch of wacky stuff inside of here. Whoa, 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 whoa. What is going on? It like didn't even have a video and it was still playing. That's funny. But there's a bunch of videos in here. There's 51 different flam variations. Don't worry about all these ones down here. Just focus on these first couple, and that'll go a long way. And then if you want to get fancy, try it on 2 or try it on 3. But you don't need to worry about like flam every 5 beats with 2 accents. Nah, that's like a year or 2 from now. So don't worry about that. But grid variations is the answer to that. Anyways, if y'all want more exercises, the chop exercises, the grid variations, the limb independent stuff, the marching bass, the scores, the sight reading, the technique stuff, you just got to click on the header on my home tab, and it shows you all of these different exercises. There's over 2,000 of them for free. And then if you want more tips, because of people asking all these wonderful questions on these different streams over the years that I've done it, I've put them in this drumming tips playlist that has over 20 hours of Q&A, or this drumming lessons playlist that's like a scripted lesson on a very specific topic. But inside of here is, I'll be adding more from like some of these great questions we got today. I'll edit them and put them in here in the future. But there's over 100 videos in here on a range of topics. Like what are roughs? How do you improve your buzzes? How do you prevent burnout, etc.? Any of the videos, there's around 600 of them on my channel that says members first, are all scheduled to release for free. For example, this one comes out next Friday, so a week from today. Talks about get the clicking sound with traditional grip on here. If you want the early access to any of those like 600-ish videos, join button, it's 99 cents. But every single one of these will come out for free. It might be tomorrow. It might be a year and a half from now because there's so many of them. New play along every day, a new drumming lesson every Monday, and a new drumming tip every Friday. So stay tuned for more content. And if, again, you don't have to pay for it. It'll come out for free. It just might literally be over a year from now. But I'm going to call it here. I'm going to get ready for Yakuza Like a Dragon. Play that for like hour and a half. And then tomorrow I'm going to be working on limb independence on the drum kit for about an hour or so. And answering questions if people happen to have any. And feel free to stop into the gaming channel or the gaming videos, the live streams, and ask questions about drumming stuff. Always happy to talk shop there if people have it. The only thing is I can't like demonstrate something like on a pad. So just FYI. Anyways, I'm rambling. If you enjoyed this content, share it with somebody else. If you don't enjoy this content, share it with an enemy. Goodbye.